Statistics during this post parade will be provided by Equibase, the post parade for the Ladies Classic, formerly known as the Distaff, and for years always one of the races before the $5 million Classic. But this year it gets its own well-deserved day of its own, and there may not be a more dominant horse in any division than #1 Zenyatta, trained by John Shirreffs, ridden by MikeSmith, and owned by the music moguls Jerry and Ann Moss, and Zenyatta named after the third album by the Police, Zenyatta Mendata. And there she is, the undefeated 4-year-old filly.
And she's bigger than most of the competition in the race, too, if you take a look at her. I mean, she is a monster. And she's really got that long stride when they get into motion. The 2 Hysterical Lady, beaten in this race last year by just a neck, $2.3 million earner. She's now age 5. She's as good or better than ever, but her challenge is obvious. Zenyatta beat her by 3.5 lengths here last month.
16-1 for Hysterical Lady. And running under the flag of the UAE is #3 Cocoa Beach. She was very impressive in beating the defending Breeders' Cup champ Ginger Punch at Belmont in September. Cocoa Beach is 7-1.
Cocoa Beach is owned by Godolphin, which of course belongs to the Maktoum family of Dubai. So does the #4, the 3-year-old Music Note. Javier Castellano rides this winner of the Mother Goose, the Coaching Club American Oaks, and the Gazelle.
Carriage Trail. You see Carriage Trail right there. And right now, Carriage Trail is 8-1 with Kent DeSormo aboard.
Very impressive, winning the Spinster Stakes in her last race, despite the fact that she drifted all the way to the outside rail. There is the defending champ, Ginger Punch. But here's a stat for you. Defending champs coming back to try to win again in this race are 1 for 8. Bayacoa in 89 and 90, the only one to pull it off.
One of the longest shots on the board is #7, Santa Teresita. She ran 3rd to Zenyatta her last time out.
And rounding out the field, the #8, Bear Now, Canadian-based, 8th in this race last year. She bled a little bit internally in that race, so she had an excuse. Named for her owner, Danny Bear Dion, a former logger up in Canada.
So that is the complete field for the Ladies Classic, a field of 8 with all eyes on MikeSmith and Zenyatta.
Mike, everybody knows that this filly usually breaks a little slow. She takes back and you kind of make a move around the field, although you have come inside a couple times. But what if she breaks with the field, buddy? What do you do then?
Like I've always done, Jerry, stay out of her way.
Well, what if they slow the pace down so much that you really have no place to run? Do you make an effort to get her back and then ease her out?
You know, Jerry, she's so professional. Even there, she's really off the bridle. She'll do whatever I ask her. If I need to take a little hold of her, she's responding to that in the morning. I believe she will in the afternoon. But she'll at least leave there nice and cool, calm, and collected like she always does.
Well, we're waiting to see her, Mike. Good luck.
Amen.
Jerry, you always like to handicap by looking at the way a horse looks out there during the post parade and as it's getting ready to warm up. How about that front gate, that front step by Zenyatta?
Well, what's funny about Zenyatta, you can't really tell it on walking, but once she starts jogging and galloping, her back leg, she kind of drags her back leg a little bit more than a horse normally would. And it's almost like a bad swing on a golfer. You see Ernie Els and Freddie Couples with a beautiful swing, and Jim Furyk, he's got a kind of unorthodox swing. Well, she's Jim Furyk. It's not the norm, but it works really well for her. It doesn't seem to slow her down much.
Tom Rinaldi, you can offer more on the Super Filly.
Joe, we've been talking about her all day, but perhaps the operative word when it comes to Zenyatta is one of the simplest. Big. She's an enormous horse at 17 hands, runs with an enormous gait. But the biggest part of Zenyatta's life right now is her opportunity and her chance in the Ladies Classic to stamp herself among the legends.
Victory is sweet, but sweeter with a comeback. Even a horse named Secretariat, before running away with the Triple Crown, came from the back of the pack to win the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness.
Secretariat on the outside to take the lead. He's coming to the wire. He wins it by 2.5, almost 3.
But no horse running today defines the comeback win more than Zenyatta. The 4-year-old filly has been in last place in every race she's ever run.
Her first race, she sort of didn't break with the rest of the horses. She stood there for a second.
They're up. Zenyatta broke very slowly.
Every time Zenyatta breaks from the gate, she seems to just kind of hesitate and let everybody go.
And the bad start has Zenyatta at the back of the pack.
It took her a long time to feel comfortable coming out of the gate just because of her size and not wanting to rest the sides of the gate. So she's always a little slow into the race.
Then the trailer is Zenyatta.
A slow start is old hat to the Zenyatta team. In 2005, their 50-to-1 shot, Giacomo, came from way back to win the Kentucky Derby.
It's a three-horse photo finish, and on the wire, it's Giacomo!
Giacomo and Zenyatta have something else in common.
We've had great success naming horses after musical entities.
Jerry Moss, the M in A&M Records, co-founded the label that released all 5 of the studio albums by the band The Police. Giacomo was named after lead singer Sting's youngest son, and now Zenyatta, named for the 1980 Police album Zenyatta Mondata.
Zenyatta Mondata, which means absolutely nothing, it just sounds pretty good, was the name of their 3rd album.
Today, the thoroughbred named for the LP that went to #1 in the UK, #5 in the US, is topping the charts. 8 races, 8 wins, all comebacks.
And Zenyatta is making a mockery of this field.
Zenyatta just making it look all too easy. This is simply poetry in motion.
She kind of runs her own kind of race, and then she just runs by. And then, you know, she's in the winner's circle.
How do you describe perfection? Why try? Let's just watch her run. This is Zenyatta.
Well done, Tom. And there is MikeSmith and Zenyatta under 5 minutes to go for the test of perfection. Will she do it? Find out when we return to the Breeders' Cup World Championships.
Perfection can vanish in one missed moment. Every cylinder must always fire. The Patriots will tell you they won't. Every turn must be the right one. Big Brown will tell you it isn't. It is sport's greatest prize, with more mystique than any title or trophy. Not merely the best, but always the best. A remarkable year ends in one final chance at the spectacular. Undefeated Zenyatta headlines the Ladies' Classic.
And isn't this what sports fans get most excited for? Seeing if an athlete can achieve what all of us know we will never have. Perfection. Zenyatta right now 8 for 8, 2 to 5. Randy Moss, 40 odds-on favorites in the history of the Breeders' Cup. Only 17 have gone on to win. But you say Zenyatta is the real deal, and you expect her to get it done.
I think she's going to have bad luck to lose. It goes from 2 to 5 all the way to 60 to 1. But even the 60 to 1 shot in here, Bear Now, could have a say in the outcome from a pace perspective. Jerry and I will talk about that a little later.
And that's going to be very important as we set this race up. As they break from the gate, in the stretch the first time around, look for either Bear Now, #8, or #2, Hysterical Lady, to show the way with Ginger Punch taking off them. But Zenyatta is going to be last early on. MikeSmith hopes it's just fast enough to where he can angle out. If he does, he's going to be creeping up the field, to the field. Ginger Punch and Hysterical Lady will still be showing the pace, but if it's slow, MikeSmith will have crept up pretty close as they hit that far turn. Now, as they turn for home, if she has a place to run, Zenyatta will probably be, most certainly be very close to Ginger Punch and Hysterical Lady, and look for that patented big stretch run as they head toward the wire, and my guess is Zenyatta.
And there are actually 2 turns. The clubhouse turn and the stretch turn, since we're not in auto racing here.
Let's go to our handicapping set and see who Jessica, Hank, and Kenny like.
Well, Joe, you guys failed to mention she was actually beaten in her last out, ran 2nd of 11 in her workout October 17th. That's a key indicator of what's going on. Do you take it? I mean, look at it. She's 1 to 2. That's 50%. That's 50 cents on the dollar. Do you just take it, or do you try to beat her?
I got to try to beat her. I mean, I can't with the 1 to 2. You can't hand a horse a race. Carriage Trail has run 2 good races that are comparable to what Zenyatta has done. One on the turf, one on the poly track. The concern is the bounce.
Hammer?
I wouldn't bet before I try to beat her. I'm going to bet her cold on top of Music Note and Ginger Punch and $50 exactas, and then I'm going to appreciate watching a great champion.
Yeah, I'll appreciate her too. Root for, bet against. 4-6 box. I like that.
There it is. Hank's bank right now at $677. Zenyatta, 50 cents on your dollar, as Kenny noted, as they are ready to load for the Ladies' Classic.
And for what it's worth, and it's not worth much today, Jerry and I both agree that if Zenyatta's going to lose, it's probably going to be the horse that just loaded, Carriage Trail, that's got the best chance to beat her.
Ginger Punch goes.
But we're going to watch the outside.
The biggest concern is if Bear Now does not go to the lead and force the pace, it's going to be very slow, and there's a chance that MikeSmith and Zenyatta won't be far enough back to have clearance and angle out once they hit the backside.
I think Yuriko Rosa da Silva on the far outside is going to hustle Bear Now to the lead because that's the only chance she's got to win. We'll see what happens.
Defending champ Ginger Punch, just a field of 8 taking on Zenyatta.
And the chance Randy mentions is that Bear Now gets out there, everybody dismisses her, says they can't, I don't worry about her, and she gets along to an easy lead.
The doorstep of perfection for Zenyatta. Here's Trevor Denman.
And the long shot, Bear Now coming up, goes straight in, the gates closed, all set. And away they go in the Ladies Classic, and as expected, Zenyatta not fast out the gate. She broke smoothly, but she broke slow, and Zenyatta is last early. Bear Now, as expected, sprints away to lead them early. Santa Teresita gets up to race in second. Hysterical Lady right there third. Ginger Punch getting a good spot in fourth with Carriage Trail on the inside of her. Then we come back to Music Note, who's taken back third last today, gives those leaders 6-lane start. In behind that comes Cocoa Beach, and Zenyatta is last early. Let's see, Zenyatta's 9 lengths off this leader. They run past the 3/4 pole and the long shot out here. They're now going to try to slow them down up front. Ryder's taken a strong hold, leads it by a length, but Santa Teresita's now coming to put the pressure back on her. Hysterical Lady is right there third. Down at the rail is Carriage Trail in the white cap, and Ginger Punch is now 5 off that leader. Just behind that, Cocoa Beach and Music Note. And let's see, Zenyatta still last. MikeSmith just biding his time at the back here. Zenyatta is now 10 lengths off the leader. They have less than a half mile to go now, and Bear Now looking for this huge upset, kicks on for home. Santa Teresita's second, Hysterical Lady third, then Ginger Punch, Carriage Trail. Music Note, Cocoa. MikeSmith shaking the reins at her, and Zenyatta is start move now. Here comes Zenyatta. She's caught about 5 wide, but she's coming gamely. Hysterical Lady gets the lead to Santa Teresita. Grandstand side, Zenyatta. She knows she's in a race today, but just look at her. Zenyatta around the outside now strikes the front, and it's Zenyatta coming away. Music Note running on gamely. Cocoa Beach down at the rail. Zenyatta's going to come home to score. Undoubtedly now, a living legend. Zenyatta 9 for 9, wins it again. Super impressive to Cocoa Beach. Music Note was third, and Carriage Trail finished fourth.
A living legend in living color in SoCal. The local gal does it. Zenyatta finishes up a perfect season with a world championship. The Patriots couldn't do it this year. Big Brown couldn't do it in the Triple Crown, but she did it. The fabulous 4-year-old filly.
In her typical fashion, Zenyatta breaks a little bit of slow. She has some separation. There's a decent enough pace in front of her. She angles to the outside, and here she comes. MikeSmith just angles her out. So much confidence. Mike knows her like a book. He knows what's coming. He knows what's underneath him, and she just makes a power move around the turn, and it really, from the half-mile pole on, it was never in doubt.
And look at MikeSmith. I mean, you saw the shot of Jerry and Ann Moss. There they are right there. This is their first Breeders' Cup win. They had a filly called Sardula that almost pulled it off in '93 in the Juvenile Fillies. She lost in a photo finish, and now both the Mosses and John Shirreffs, the trainer, get their first Breeders' Cup score.
Mike, I don't have any words. Tell me how you feel, buddy.
Jerry, I'm in awe. Nothing like that. Those are the best mares in the world right there. In their own right, they could all run against the Colts. And she just does what she does. It's just amazing. She's sent from God, I tell you.
You know, I've been and you've been on horses that you know them like a book, and you certainly know her as well as anybody can. And there's never a moment in your mind that you think there's any trouble. Is that how you felt today?
Oh, Jerry, as soon as I got away in good order, I felt so good. She was there at any time I wanted her. They were looking around for her, but she just loped back there and just, I knew she was going to make her move today. Jerry, I want to take this time, though, and say hello to my father. I hope he heals well, and I love you.
Well, Mike, it's a big day for you. I know you got another big one tomorrow. Congratulations.
Thank you, J.D.
MikeSmith, now his 12th Breeders' Cup title. Took one earlier today, but did this in such exciting fashion. The closing style of Zenyatta, 10 lengths back with a half mile to go, Jerry.
Well, this might sound crazy, but right there, Zenyatta early on gets away a little slow, as I said, and that's what Mike wanted. He wanted the separation you get right there between the last horse and him, and it gives him an option as he turns up the backside. He'll be a couple of lengths off the rail, but it gives him the option to move outside so he can launch his run whenever he wants. And here she is. Here she is making that move, picking off horses one by one. Zenyatta with the pink bow around Mike's back. And he is never worried at this point. Zenyatta's pricking her ears up, and the field is at her mercy.
You saw all those replays. She tends to finish with her ears straight up. You know, Mike mentioned that any of these females in this race could do okay against the boys. There was a school of thought that maybe the Mosses and John Shirreffs should try Zenyatta in the Classic instead of running in the Ladies Classic. Should have tried her against the boys. Another beautiful thing about this is that so many times we see great horses like this run in the Breeders' Cup, and they give a sensational performance, and then we never see them again. The plan for the Mosses is to bring Zenyatta back next year as well.
Forget next year. Bring her back tomorrow. Let's race against Curlin here, huh? Wow, what a showing by Zenyatta, the second fastest Ladies Classic winner. The fourth win in the Ladies Classic by MikeSmith and John Shirreffs. Remember John Shirreffs and these connections won the Kentucky Derby with Giacomo. Janine.
Let me catch up with John Shirreffs. He was applauding his own filly. Are you amazed by what she has accomplished? A perfect record, and she is a queen today.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, we just can't believe it. I mean, she just makes things happen. She's just so special, and we're so blessed to have her in our barn.
A $60,000 yearling that you told me has by far exceeded expectations. What did you mean by that?
Well, you know, when you buy them, they always have they look like they might have some sort of potential, but from the very beginning, when she started racing, she showed just another dimension that you would never expect.
I got chills watching this race. What did you get?
You know, I got the same thing. I got so excited. You know, sometimes you forget where you are, and you hope you don't bump into somebody next to you. It's just a thrill.
Amazing. Enjoy the moment. And on the 20th anniversary of Personal Ensign winning the Breeders' Cup undefeated, Zenyatta does the same thing. Joe?
Undefeated Zenyatta by the sire Street Cry, who has been putting forth such sensational runners stands at Darley. Zenyatta now a perfect 9 for 9, owned by Jerry and Ann Moss, trained by John Shirreffs. Of course, the Police album way back in the day, their third album, Zenyatta Mendata. They said it meant nothing. It was just words that rhymed. Well, it means something in this game. It means perfection now.
You got a sense of what a genuine guy John Shirreffs is. He's a Vietnam vet, and when he got back from Vietnam after his tour of duty over there, he was just sort of a surfer guy, kind of hanging out in the U.S., didn't really know what he was going to do, needed some money, heard there was a job opening at a farm in California, decided to go to work there with the horses, never intending for it to be his life's work. And now look at what he's been able to accomplish in the sport.
Tom Rinaldi pointed out how big she is and the size. She has such a presence, this 4-year-old filly.
Yeah, I mean, she seems to know that she's got total command over the other horses. And it's not just that she wins, Jerry. It's the ease with which she wins. Her ears pricking. I mean, it's really...
I've noticed during the paddock and in talking to Mike, she gets in there, and as soon as he gets up, he said she just swells up and looks at the other horse. And she's big to begin with. So when she swells up, he says she has this presence about her. She knows. Believe me, she knows how good she is.
And I want to bring this up as well. She's so good on synthetics, but this spring, they took her to Oaklawn Park and ran her in the Apple Blossom on dirt. And I've seen so many horses go from synthetics to dirt and lay an egg. And she was going down the backstretch. She was in last place. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, here we go. This is it. She's not going to handle the dirt at all. Whoosh. And Ginger Punch was in that field as well, and she completely blew her away. So it's not just a synthetic phenomenon.
Taking that scene right there. The highest of highs. Winning your division, being called the best in the world at what you do, and such is the case in the Ladies Classic for Zenyatta. And good for MikeSmith, a guy who's put in year after year of hard work and now has 12 Breeders' Cup titles in his illustrious career. And it brings up a great discussion, because this is a weekend of Breeders' Cup World Championships where we're going to be talking a lot about greatness, a lot about who's the best. Obviously, 4th day of coverage, 9 World Championship races, and there is the star of the day.
Zenyatta now a perfect 9 for 9. It is kind of ironic that, as we talk about Horse of the Year, the Mosses and Shirreffs and MikeSmith have a chance to strike a blow for Zenyatta tomorrow with Tiago if he's able to upset Kirtland. How about that?
Tom Rinaldi.
A classic without any question, Joe. Here to present the trophy for the Ladies Classic, Joan Gaines, the wife of Breeders' Cup founder John Gaines, and her son Tom. Here, Tom, step on over here and present this trophy, Joan, to Jerry and Ann Moss. Here you go. Hand it over.
Mr. Moss, you have really given us a thrill today. What a graying filly.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Jerry, you have been at the pinnacle of the sport. You've won the Kentucky Derby with Giacomo. How does this compare?
Oh, this gets pretty close. Let me tell you, this is our first Breeders' Cup win, and and she'll be our first champion. So it's pretty amazing, pretty fantastic.
For someone in the game as long as you are, you're choked up right now.
Yeah.
Why?
Can't help it. Applause makes me very emotional somehow. I'm sorry.
And
so anyway, and this guy here is amazing, and everybody, John Shirreffs, Dottie, David and Gordo for finding this horse for us, Don Robinson and Eric Bronfeld for breeding him. I can't thank everybody enough.
Great emotion here on this team at Connections for a great champion, a quest for perfection. Joe, you can't do better than that.
You cannot, and very understandable why Jerry and Ann Moss would get choked up and emotional over their champion, Zenyatta. You never know when a horse like this is going to come along, and we're just fortunate and blessed to witness history today. Of course, our coverage of the Breeders' Cup continues tomorrow, 1 o'clock on ABC, and then we switch over to ESPN. Thanks for being with us. The town, a perfect record of 9 for 9.